What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Madden video. Myself, Virtual Footballer, here on a dual comp for you. The link to the article will be down in the description, but we want to start this off with a quote from John Madden. The goal was to make the video game the same as what's on TV. This isn't a kids game, it's a football game that kids play. And just to be clear about that, that is from John Madden in this article, and to me shows us very publicly the framework that's been used to not only build Madden's prior, but also laying to the next generation of Madden football game.
Yeah, and the way they do it, they try their best to entice fans every year to pay $60 to $65 for this game by putting countless unaccountable hours and trying to get the technical experts, athletes, and they even try to use John Madden himself to mimic real life of the program. Something that we thought that wasn't there, because like Moody just said with this quote of John Madden, what he wants in Madden going forward, or way Madden was always been, he's still out there, putting his 2 cents in the game. So
The article, goes on to talk about Madden's NFL attention to detail and how it helps the league and its players. It interestingly also depicts that there is tens of millions of dollars, figure we haven't heard a lot about, but it is shown here in print for the licensing fees. More importantly, though, it also talks about how the video game is supposedly helped to introduce fans that might not follow the NFL. And also, it dictates that maybe children can be more involved in football, even as parents steer their children away over safety concerns. It also goes on to talk about Tim Langley, who is the director of consumer products in the NFL, and how he feels the relationship between EA and the NFL is solidified.
and we want everybody to understand where this is going, because this is about to get much deeper than any of us putting videos out. We wanted anybody to understand that, this is about to get deeper than us wanting a better game, because here we're seeing that, you know, uh, with Tim Langley saying he's the director of consumer products at the at the NFL, and for him, he quotes by saying it's very important to us because we anecdotally see time and time again people who said they really didn't follow the NFL until they started playing Madden. So with that being said, we have a lot of casuals, something that we already knew, are coming into the game that quote unquote didn't follow the NFL, but Madden brought them to the NFL.
Right, and like you said, that really helps strengthen the relationship between EA and the NFL, even if some of us don't maybe perceive that to be true. And it does say here that during the last 10 years, EA, according to the NFL, has been one of their best partners, not just financially, but also in the fans that are able to bring in and retain. Now, of course, we all know EA has the exclusive license to use the names, players, and elements of the league, but a lot of us, and excluding myself, did not know that in this article it states the NFL has editorial oversight over the game. And to me, this is maybe where we can start to have some discussions over things that we've wanted in the game that maybe EA hasn't put in the game, but unbeknownst to us, it's because the NFL isn't allowing them in. And I think part of that is the tattoos. But we're also learning here that Tim Langley and others go through thousands of pages of recorded scripts, deleting inappropriate dialogue like trash talk, but also ensure that things like chop blocks, helmet to helmet hits, and other illegal plays are not permitted in Madden, even with accompanying penalties, despite EA's efforts at realism. I mean, these are quotes from this article, and they also say that these edits not only stem from the league, but also from John Madden's insistence that this game be exciting and educational, that he still does help developers at EA Sports identify trends to the game. And I think it's critical that we understand there. I don't feel Madden is educational, but I think we all have an understanding that the game may be a bit too exciting for a simulation gamer.
Well, it's exciting to the point where, I mean, we both made countless videos. It's all about the wow factor. With that one big play that you see in the seasons past will be the main play that you see every player do in the next Madden. So the exciting part is there. The educational part is completely out the window because nobody learns technique. Nobody learns fundamentals. Nobody learns how to play the game of football when they play Madden. And I know Moody said it earlier, and I'm going to reiterate this quote. This quote is the most damning quote when it comes to us ever getting a simulation football game. And I want you guys to understand this. John Madden himself, his name is on the cover of this game. And his quote was, the goal was to make the video game the same as what you see on TV. But this isn't a kid's game. It's a football game that kids play, which, in my opinion, is a total contradiction of what we're getting or what we're wanting in a football game. Like with the chop blocks, the helmet to helmet hits, all this stuff that are in real life football that could be put in the game that's not there. And that's probably the reason why we don't see certain penalties being called.
No, and I completely agree. I think one of the undertones here also is the fact that we have a situation where we talk about EA maybe wanting to do something in the game that the NFL isn't saying is able to be done. But more importantly, when we talk about John Madden and making the game exciting, we talk about big plays. Something I've always learned in football is, for every big play, there's also multiple mistakes. So I don't know how much you can learn from big plays because there's always some technical error, whether it's coverage, tackling, something that's done wrong for a big play. And that's not replicated properly in Madden, in my opinion, either. Now, something else that it talks about here is something a lot of the 2K purists have discussed. It does begin to show the fact that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are replicated in the game, but the NFL players do not want them to portray themselves because of risk of injury. It talks about some of the, quote unquote stunt players, the journeyman players that they bring in for these motion captures, and the fact that they are paid $1,000 a day plus their expenses for a 1 week shoot. EA organizes 4 shoots per year, and many of these players continue to be active in this game because they continue to feel that the Madden NFL experience can catapult them into an NFL career. It also discusses that these players have used this as a platform to get into other aspects of gaming, other aspects of NFL, which is perfectly fine. I think we all understand that even myself as a commentator can use my relationship with EA to help me in other assets. So I don't have a problem with that. But one thing I think it's important for us to note is, during the weeks of filming, they have 750 distinct motion captures. And this is something we don't see being implemented in the game enough. I mean, we get told these figures year in and year out, but do we really ever see them making an impression into the game?
In my opinion, um, they don't, and I'm pretty sure my opinion, spreads with everybody else. We don't see these things. We still see some of the same animations from the game's past. So that could be another number that's just been thrown out there from Madden and EA for years. Another number. Now, but the bottom line is, where do we go going forward? Because the most damning, thing about this entire article is what Madden said and what the NFL and the stronghold they have over EA. Because what we're learning here is not EA's fault to a degree why their game is not the way it is. So, as a community, we're possibly looking at right now, we may never get that game that we want as simulation, authentic sports gamers. We're looking at a situation where, we're going to continue to critique this game just on the based on on our football knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, to copy off what you said there, I think the important things to take from that are we are talking about millions of dollars in licensing fees and certainly at least some point of creative control not resting in the developer. So, do we have a situation where there's a company that's willing to make that type of investment, but also understand, listen, at the end of the day, we're going to govern some of the creative control over your product, and personally, I don't know if a company is willing to step up and do that. I do want to reiterate to you guys, we don't mean to be facetious with this comment, me or virtual, but we don't want you to read in again to this being Madden 15-esque. That to me is not appropriate, because that's not what this article is discussing. But what this article is discussing like we've tried to share with you, is some of the logic behind the decisions that are being made here. And I want to be careful when we say we're learning in this that some of the issues here are not totally EA's fault. They rest more on the NFL and how they're preventing the game from being realistic and what we want. So maybe it's time, and I know that we've tried to do this in the past, that we put pressure on the NFL, not just EA, to make sure that we get a more complete product, because certainly they're playing a part in this as well. As Virtual said, appreciate you guys sitting through a long video. Please go read this article for yourself. There's accompanying video you may want to watch, but to me, the video is far less important than the content here. Love to know your comments. Appreciate your support. And as he said, we're going to continue to break down this game until we get the game we want. And obviously, we're going to refocus some of our efforts to make sure the people that are in charge of making that happen can.